Hey everyone, welcome back to Enough with Debt. Today, I want to talk about a very sensitive subject for those of you that are just getting started. I get it. Paying off debt is scary and it's not the easiest thing to do. Today we're going to talk about 7 steps that's going to help you get towards your path of repaying your debt. So stay tuned. Alright, so carrying debt can affect you in several ways. It can affect your ability to spend now, on the things you want. Emergency comes up, debt can get in the way of that. It can affect your ability to solve that, or it can just magnify it. It also affects your future self. So it affects your ability to save for the future, affects your ability to invest. I get it. Debt is daunting and no one likes to look at it. It's a lot easier to just, pay the minimums and not worry about it. But today I want to talk to you about tackling that debt. So we're going to start with step 1. Step 1, you just want to get an inventory of your debt. So I'll tell you where to begin with that. So basically, you just want to get a list of your creditor's name. You can do that by just getting a free credit report if you haven't got one. Your creditor's name. You want to get a list of how much interest you owe on your debt. You want to get a list of how much your monthly payment is, and you also want to know your interest rate that you're paying for each debt. You also want to know the payment due date as well, when the payment is due for each debt. Okay, so the next thing you want to do is step 2. You want to determine how much you can pay towards your debt. And the best way to do this is you want to you've already got the inventory of your debt, you've already got how much each payment is and when it's due. Now you just want to, make sure that you get everything else that's involved, like groceries, if you have health insurance, cable, gas, clothing, living expenses, any bill that you pay on a monthly basis outside of your debt, including your debt, you want to get an inventory of. And what you want to do is you want to add all that up and then you want to subtract it from the amount of taxable income that you have coming in. So basically, whatever income you have coming in that's already been taxed, you want to subtract the amount of debt or the amount of bills and debts that you're currently paying, subtract that from your income. And then whatever you have left over, that gives you the amount starting right away of what you can apply towards your debt. Step 3, this is one of my favorites. You want to pick up the phone and start negotiating. So basically, you want to call your list of creditors or student loan people and just let them know your current situation. You may be able to negotiate a lower interest rate. They may be able to waive some interest rates for a certain period in some cases. You may be able to transfer credit card balances to a lower interest rate. I will note that's not a permanent situation, solution, it's just temporary, but those are just some things that you can do. Negotiate your rates. You can also look at cutting expenses as well. Same thing, I always negotiate, if you have a cable bill, insurance bill, anything that's on an annual basis, just take an inventory. You've already took an inventory, just go look and see what you can negotiate and cut as well. Step number 4, you want to come up with a payoff plan and you want to come up with a plan that you can start initiating. So there's 2 methods we can do this. We can do a plan which is called a debt avalanche. Basically, what you start with the highest debt you have, highest debt, highest interest. This can help save you money in the long run, but it's gonna start as a little bit more difficult task as the next method, which is a debt snowball. This obviously, you're gonna start with the smallest debt. This can be very beneficial because it's motivating. You can knock out the smallest debt and then you can use that amount to go on to the next one. So you get kind of a kick out of it, kind of a motivation because you start to see the process happen a lot quicker as opposed to the debt avalanche. But either way, both strategies will help you get your debt paid off. I've done kind of a combination of both. Started out in my journey with the avalanche and then I switched over to the snowball. So those are just 2 methods that you can do. But if you want to get started and get right away and start getting some momentum going, I would probably recommend starting out with the debt snowball method. Whichever method you choose, make sure you're at least paying the minimum on each debt. And then whatever you have left, you're applying that extra towards the debt that you're targeting to pay off. All right, step number 5. Step number 5, now that you have all your debts listed, you have your target debt that you're gonna start out with, your debt payoff plan. Now that you have the plan, I would get it out somewhere where it's visual. Typically, like people, you like to use charts, you get a spreadsheet, whatever method you want to use. That way you can chart it out. You can kind of get an idea of, hey, if I'm paying this amount each month, this is what my estimated payoff date would be. It's just a really good reinforcement to have somewhere around your house, or just visually. That way you can see, hey, there's an ending to this. So I would highly recommend charting it out somewhere and just getting a visual of your debt payoff plan. Step 6, you want to get a side hustle. Get creative to get some extra income in, whether it's you're babysitting, whether you're doing the ride sharing in the afternoons, you're delivering pizzas, or just using the skills you have to get some extra income in. It doesn't matter here. This is the fun part where you can get creative and just look for extra ways where you can bring in money to help apply towards your debt. Anything that you have come in extra, even when you get windfalls such as your tax return or any big chunk of money that comes your way, make sure you take it and apply that towards your debt, because it's only going to help speed up the process of getting your debt paid off. Another part of getting side income can even be cutting back on things that you're already doing in your budget, like cutting cable, cutting on what you eat out. Instead of eating out every day, maybe you eat in more. That helps to save money. Another way you can do, besides eating out or cutting back on cable or cutting back on subscriptions, is maybe look at your vehicles. I mean, a good rule of what I've heard is if your car loan is more than 50% of your annual income, then you have too much cars. If your motor vehicles add up to that, then you can get rid of it. Another rule is if you can't pay off your car or be debt free within 2 years, then you want to look at maybe getting a cheaper car or getting rid of the car that you have altogether to help expedite paying off your debt. One of the things about cars, cars are one of the most depreciating assets that you can get. As soon as you buy it, you go all of her. As soon as you leave the lot, that thing starts to depreciate in value. So maybe reevaluate that. Look at your vehicles, get creative, look for ways that you can cut your debt, just starting right from the get-go. Another thing that you can do, just to add on more, is look around your house. Things that you have that aren't necessarily, I wouldn't say maybe not valuable, but things you aren't using anymore. There's tons of things that you can find around the house that you may be able to just get rid of and just sell. You can sell it on Craigslist, sell it on eBay. That's another way to help get the ball rolling with getting your debt paid off and just throw that big chunk towards paying off your debt. All right, and the last step, step 7. This step here, you want to break the debt cycle. I know it can be tempting. You got momentum going, you've paid off several bills, you want to go reward yourself, you want to go do a fancy dinner, you want to go get that new phone, you want to get that new purse, new piece of clothing. Stay on the plan. Make sure you stay on the plan. Reevaluate any big spending or anything that you want to do before you go make a big purchase. Look at how that's going to affect your debt, how that's going to set you back. That's the quickest way to fall off and get right back to all that work to be done and right back where you started. So make sure that you break the cycle, that you stay on plan, that you continue to pay off your debt, and that you don't relapse. I'm not saying don't go reward yourself when you pay off a debt, but just make sure it's reasonable. If you haven't eaten out, maybe do a small dinner, but don't do anything overboard, anything crazy that's gonna pitch you back to point 1. Anyway, thank you guys for watching. These are just 7 quick tips, some tips that I've used in my own personal debt journey. If you have any comments or you guys have any tips below that I may have left out, please leave them down below in the comments. I greatly appreciate it. If you have not, please subscribe to my channel. Make sure you click the little bell too as well. That way you will get notified anytime I come out with a new video. Anyway, thank you guys for watching, and thank you guys for being a part of my debt journey.